And welcome to the post-match. It was the only thing that went wrong tonight was that intro. 3-0 against Villa. Wasn't the 5-0 I predicted in the pre-match, but we kept the clean sheet. Gally, it was a satisfying game all around, wasn't it?
Absolutely. We had concerns early, right, about how they would line up. I thought McAllister put in a great shift, barely put a foot in wrong. Couple errant passes in the first half when he tried to start the breaks, but played the six like he is the six. Won duels, won challenges. Curtis Jones moved the ball quickly. A little bit at times seemed a little off the pace, which is expected when you don't make it. You're making your first start of the season. Soboslai bangs that worldie in, and honestly, it's like you probably couldn't ask for a better welcome to Anfield and first goal for him. So what a performance. We got a lot of time to talk about it, but just great stuff.
Cosy, what was your impression of the game?
Yeah, mate, perfect, really. Perfect performance all around. They're a very, very good side, and we've made them look bang average. So, and that's credit to the Reds. It's credit to the lads who played. I don't really think there was a bad performance from any player, really. I thought we were literally the most perfect performance, and what a way to go into the international break. I'm actually having a think here. I think Soboslai might have seen. I might be the best goal I've seen on someone's weaker foot. That's a joke. That is a joke, you know. Just like the technique on it is a joke of a finish. And I mentioned in the pre-match is that if we scored in the first 10, Villa might have a bit of Vietnam flashback, and that's exactly what happened from the Newcastle game. I think they bottled it a little bit for 20 minutes probably after it. I think it took them a little while to get back into it after we scored the first. So, you know, perfect performance all round and happy days.
Let's bring in Sir Z in here. A lot more calmer than last week, Sir Z. How did you find that game? It was a good one, wasn't it?
It was. I was expecting a lot. An intense game. I was kind of worried about Villa, especially Watkins. But we kept them quiet. I don't know whether it's we just played well or Villa played crap. But I was happy for Gomez and Matip. They stepped up. I don't think we really even came out of third gear. We just took this game and just controlled the game. It was reminiscent to like how we were playing 2-3 years ago. No fear. We just went in there and just did what we had to do.
Gally, I said in the Discord channel that the players looked on it today. The pressing was probably the best we've seen so far this season, wasn't it?
Yeah, I thought the press was really good. I thought that Nunez press on the first goal, helps create the first goal. Later, and we've criticized, sometimes he presses and you're like, that's exactly when you shouldn't press. And then he drops back and doesn't press when his teammates go. Seems like he's starting to figure it out. He was a big part of that. So love the press today. And I mean, Sobo just runs and runs and runs. And in the 80th minute, 90th minute, he's still running and pressing. It's a joy to watch, and you add in all the passing and the skill he has. Him and McAllister are going to be something special for a long, long time, I think.
Go ahead.
Let's talk about Darwin, mate. Like, he's the most insane footy player in the world, He's involved in all 3 goals for the start. He misses an open goal. He hits the bar. The funniest one is he does a bad touch on the halfway line in the second half or just in our area, and he tries an overhead on the halfway line, and he just fell on the floor. And I'm like, what? He picked up the ball at one point I think it's in the first half. He can literally just pass Salah, just a little reverse pass to play him in. He tries a back heel and misses the back heel and kind of falls over. I'm like, what is this kid up to, But I mean, listen, I think that's the fun of watching him, innit? Really, he could have walked off there with a hat trick or 4, at least a hat trick actually hits the bar, misses a sitter. He should score the Matty Cash. Really one. He hits the post. So he's just a joy to watch, mate, and he's just hilarious. It's hilarious when you're 3-0 up, by the way. He's hilarious to watch then. If Liverpool are losing 1-0, he's not hilarious to watch. But at that point, you know what I mean? He is brilliant.
He kind of reminds me a little bit of Stan Collymore, but without the moodiness. Because Stan Collymore was a bit the same as well. He tried some ridiculous things that, when they came off, looked fantastic. But when they didn't, you just had to laugh. The only difference, obviously, being Stan Collymore was a moody shite, and Nunez just looks like he's having fun out there. It's almost like a tall Suarez. Here's what I'm thinking, though, Sir Z. we talked before the game about the back line and the gaps that would be left, possibly, and who would cover who. Gally called it perfectly. It was Gomez in the middle and Matip out wide. Gomez, I thought, had a great game. But Kwanzaa, when he came on, yet again, for the second week in a row, looked like he belonged in that back four. Are we, as supporters, panicking maybe a lot more about the lack of a centre-back coming in than maybe we should?
Yeah, of course. I think Kwanzaa coming in it's credit to Klopp bringing him in a good game. It didn't have to be in a nervous situation, so he's bedding him in well. I just hope we're not flattering to deceive, and I really expected more from Villa. I expected a bigger threat from Villa. But I'll take it. We definitely need another centre back. I wouldn't have let Phillips go. I really wouldn't have let Phillips go. Matip's injury prone. Gomez has been injury prone. Konate is injury prone. And personally, I'm still unsure with Virgil. He still doesn't seem the same player he was pre-injury. I wouldn't have let Phillips go, especially knowing that we can't replace in January.
In terms of how he covered, Matty Cash scored the own goal, but other than that, I don't remember him doing anything of note. We really did handle their wing backs quite well, didn't we, Gally?
Yeah, we handled the wing backs, and we kept Diaby quiet, who's been one of the brightest, signings to come into the Premier League so far in the first 2 or 3 matches. So I was really, really pleased. I thought, Kazi hit it too. I got the part right about how they would handle Trent's space, and Kazi got it right that in the pre-match that Robo wasn't going to be going forward. And what's funny? Just like we kind of talked about, as soon as Diaz came off the pitch and Jota came on, Robertson started making overlapping runs because Gomez was staying back. And it was like we knew exactly what was happening. So I think we're starting to see what this is going to look like. And I really believe, I think I said it in our Discord channel, I really think that what we saw today with Jones, McAllister, and Silva in the midfield is what we should get used to with Jones and Gravenberch, basically flip-flopping. I think we're going to see a lot against teams like this that we're going to attack. I think we're going to see a lot of McAllister as the deepest man in the midfield. And then I think at times when we're playing a team like City or somebody else where we need a lower defensive structure, maybe Arsenal, Tottenham even with the way they're attacking on the counter, I think you'll see Endo play. And Endo's going to close out games almost in like a Milner role and give you stability at the back. And maybe that ends up being what happens with Gomez too at times. So I think we're starting to see a little bit of this team start to gel like we were 3-4 years ago when we were real contenders for things. Because it looks to me like almost everyone now understands their role when they're on the pitch. And it's different depending on which player comes on. And I maybe Kazi said it in the pre-match that this might be the deepest we've ever been. I'm starting to really see that when you see even how Gomez played it right back to end the match for Trent. I thought Trent was really good and quietly sneaky good all over the pitch today. This was a big performance, and it was really refreshing. I guess anything you say is Trent has to go off, but hopefully this is what I love, those substitutions 5 minutes before an international window that makes you not have to go play with the blokes from England. Bunch of meaningless games.
Kazi, just before it gets lost in the mix, I was watching, we were talking about Endo, we talked about on Thursday, he's quite an intelligent little player, but what I noticed was when he's on the field, the number of times he looks over his shoulder before he receives a ball, and before he even looks like he's in position to receive a ball. We said on Thursday, him and Szoboszlai might be the quiet ones that become the fan favourites. He reminds me of Lucas, which I mentioned before, but he could be like a little ace up the sleeve, couldn't he? In terms of maybe not starting, but a player that can calm a game down when he comes on, especially when the other team might get a second wind.
I think it's exactly what he's there for now. I think he's kind of brought him in as not a break glass. I think that's a bit harsh, I think it's more, it just gives us an extra option. Liverpool haven't had many options for 3-4 years. But the thing is, though, we haven't needed the options because you just win the league anyway and just challenge for the Champions League anyway. I think we forget how good this side is. And with, again, I did mention pre-match that this could be the deepest we have had. The options we have are unreal, but everyone's playing to a level where you don't mind who we start right now with Elliott, with Jones and stuff like that. You know, let's get it right. If he would have went with the side last year and he would have put, it's like the option. The equivalent today of what he did with Alexis McAllister is the equivalent of putting Keita number 6 last year. It's the equivalent. We would have all lost our mind. Lost, especially against that Villa side, by the way. We would have lost our mind. So that's what he's got now is loads of options, and Endo does give us that. I think the interesting part for me today was, of course, I am the Curtis Jones fan club, but he just doesn't lose the ball. I like players who don't lose the ball. It makes it really easy to win football matches if you have players who don't give the ball away. So the trust that he's got in him now, and how good he was, and Elliott as well. Again, I thought Elliott was quite impressive when he came off the bench. So I'm so excited, mate. I predicted us to win the league, and I think we might win this by March if we carry on.
So Z, just on Curtis Jones, another thing I noticed, in terms of what Cozzy said about not losing the ball, if you were a coach of a young team of young players, you would have to show them Curtis Jones and how he uses his body, because it's almost textbook how he gets his body between the defender and the ball. We kind of had hopes for him, I think, if I remember, as an out-and-out attacking midfielder when he first burst on the scene. But yet again, we seem to be producing or recruiting an incredibly intelligent player who may not get the glory of a Salah or a Firmino or something like that. Possibly not even Elliott, who seems to have more creative strings to his bow. But he looks like he's going to be incredibly important for us going forward in the next few years, doesn't he?
Yeah, what I like about Jones is that no one sees him coming. He's like stealth like. The opposition he's just so like, I don't even know the word for it, but it's like no one knows about him but us. It's like Bobby Firmino. And unless you actually watch football and you understand the game, he's just so underrated, and he's just come out of nowhere. So he can do what he can do without anyone actually seeing him as a threat, but he's a threat for us.
Yeah.
And it's great. I mean, he's still young. If he can stay injury-free, he can just be one of them like Ginny. Just do what he needs to do, get on with the game, and no one's even going to see him coming.
Gally, in terms of the way the midfield functioned with the attack, even with Nunez, even with his crazy, chaotic unpredictability, it looked so joined up today whenever we won the ball. Like everybody knew exactly where they were supposed to go. And if I was one of the other, 3 or 4 teams challenging for the league, I'd be pissing my pants right now, wouldn't I?
Yeah, I think you have to worry about 2 big things. One, the commentators can, and listen, this is their job, by the way. Their job is to stir up drama and to create things people tweet about during the match. So they were going to talk about Mo Salah going to Saudi Arabia, so they could talk about Premier League players going to Saudi Arabia, so they could basically talk about not liking the Saudi Arabian league. Like they've been doing it in every single broadcast on the radio or TV. So that didn't get on me. But if I'd be most worried by the sight of Luis Diaz right now, because he looks like he is back to full-fledged pre-injury form, and he was tormenting Matty Cash at times today and just toying with him, dribbling at him in the first half. So if I'm an Arsenal or a United, even a Tottenham who thinks now they're going to be challenging maybe for top 4, I'd be really worried about the fact that our attack looks like it is the best in the world. It is by far the deepest. It can do the most different things to beat you. 2, our midfield is completely revamped with basically a decade less worth of miles on all the legs, and can do the job better than the guys could do last year or the year before with the lot that was here. And if we get our defense sorted, you're in real freaking trouble. And who knows, maybe this 3 matches without Virgil, if that's what it ends up being, comes at the perfect time to give Matip, Gomez, and Kwanzaa a whole bunch of run and they pull it together and hold us out till January, and then maybe we strengthen there in the window. If we stay healthy right now, this team looks like it can challenge on all fronts. And I think because of Europa, those are 6 matches right there to get all these guys minutes, like Elliott and Jones and Tsimikas. Like, I think we're going to get even better as other guys start pushing guys for starting spots. I think Gravenberch changes everything for the midfield. This is going to be fun. This is going to be really, really, really fun, like through the holidays. And then we'll get back to January. And like Kazi, we'll have to unmute Fabricio, and we'll have to start paying attention, to what we're doing in the transfer windows again, and reading all this bullshit about everyone trying to buy every one of our players. But I'm going to bounce, guys. I'll see you guys all next week. Have a good one.
We'll see you on the Monday podcast, Gally. Thank you.
I'll tell you what, now, following on what Gally just said, right? Based on the last 4 games for Liverpool before this incident, they're the best side in the league. I'm not asked what anyone says, but one of the best sides in the league. I've watched City, I've watched all the 4 games. He struggled against Sheffield United, they got the win. He got bang lucky yesterday at 1-1. I think if Fulham get in a hard time there, that could be a completely different game. They beat Newcastle, of course, at home. That's been their toughest game, is Newcastle at home. They played a couple of bums in Burnley and Sheffield United. We expect to be in the bottom 5 at least. So I will take our wins and our performances over theirs all day. When we play 3 sides in Newcastle, Chelsea and Villa, who we expect to be around the top 7. We expect them to be in and around there. This side can do anything this year. Anything. You know what I mean? Like this, I think really do. I said at the start of the season, I still believe that this side can win the league. And why not? Why can't they win the league? Like, I literally, again, no one's deeper in attack than us. It looks like we can run for miles in midfield now. We have the best keeper in the world by a mile. He makes a big save again at 2-0, by the way, when it looks like it could have been over the line kind of deal, that header. So, why not? Let's kick on. Let's believe in these lads. Yet we didn't get the centre half. All right, yeah, you don't always get what you want for Christmas. So, but you just got to back these lads and let's go for it. Why not? We come back to play Wolves at home. And then we've got I think the next 3 or 4 league games are pretty favourable. If the Reds can go on and win the next 4, why not? Let's believe in these boys and let's go for it.
Spurs worry me.
Spurs
played that fair.
Yeah. Spurs are very good. Spurs are very good. But my argument is, though, for Spurs at least, if they're going to be that open against us, I expect Liverpool to beat them.
Yeah.
If they, you know what I mean? Because I watched them against Burnley yesterday as well. And listen, they were great. They were excellent. And especially on the break as well, they were very, very good. But again, I still expect us to overrun them in midfield. Definitely. I think we've got better centre halves than them. I know Van der Ven, listen, if you look at the Burnley goal yesterday, they look like they're asleep for the Burnley goal, at least when they take the lead. So I expect us to kick on.
Yeah, I think player for player, we're definitely better than Spurs, but they have a manager that reminds me of Klopp, where the players, they're going to run for it. And they're going to play for it.
Okay, just let me get Trevor in there, waiting patiently and hopefully drunkenly. Trevor, how was the game for you?
Oh, delightful. Absolutely delightful. That was fun from beginning to end. Yeah, as everybody was saying, it could have been more of a pile-on. We could have got to your prognosticated 5-0, but in the end, 3 goals, 3 points. I'll take it.
Just let me mention some in terms of the clean sheet. Now we've been through, let's say, going back to David James, through Sander Westerveld, through Mignolet, Reina, what was the blog keepers again? I always forget his name. I can't.
It's a whole weekend, man. It's a whole weekend. We've got a lovely win, and you're bringing up fucking Simon Mignolet and David James. Give me a break.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. We have Alisson, who is probably, I would say, the best keeper in the league. And the thing that makes him the best keeper in the league is that he had literally nothing much to do until that fantastic 2-handed save. And apart from Reina's best period of like,
oh, we've lost him.
That's what he did. He brought Mignolet, and it just ruined everything.
There you go.
The whole podcast shut down because he brought up Simon Mignolet, and that's what's meant to happen. There's a few buzzwords that you're not allowed to say on the podcast.
It's like saying the Candyman into the mirror 3 times.
It's because I mentioned Westerveld, and he was always dropping things like this signal. But my point is that we do have a top-notch keeper who can keep his concentration even in the games that we are absolutely dominating. And that is something that I agree with Cosy. I think we can win this league. I don't think City look any great shakes, and they still are Haaland focused. Everything seems to want to go through him, and if he's not having a good game, they're not having a good game. And
They're
we
really
just
missing
don't
Kevin
have
De
to worry,
Bruyne.
do we? We have so many options.
Yeah, but City have referees and VAR on the side. You know.
I mean, you are right there, to be fair. I think again, City are great. We all know City are great. But the point is, Liverpool are great. Liverpool are really good. We still have really good footballers. I don't understand. I get it. We didn't get what we wanted in the transfer market, but we got 4 unbelievable midfielders. We got Defar coming out of our ears now in midfield. Our 7th and 8th choice players are literally Elliott and stuff like that. So we come back. You play Wolves away. You get Lask in the cup. You whack them. You play West Ham at home. You whack them. You play Leicester at home. You whack them. And then before you know it, you've won your last 8 games. Then you go into Spurs away. Then it's a really tough game. So let's go and win the next 4, and then go from there.
I think Wolves lost 3-1 to Crystal Palace as well today, didn't they? Was that the final score?
They got a late one, so it was 3-2. I know.
3-2. Okay, I didn't catch that. I switched it off before the podcast. But even still, as Cosy said before the game, that's not exactly the thrill of second game you want to be shown on television. And it's against the Roy Hodgson team. So you expect to score some goals. But we are in from... And let's just say we should have won against Chelsea. We absolutely should have won that game. We outplayed them in terms of, I thought, counterattacks at least and chances. But we are looking, fingers crossed, knocking all the wood, like a title challenger this year. So Z, what do you think? Are we over enthusiastic, or are the signs there?
On paper, we have it. I'm just worried about the defense. I think they'll fail. It just takes. We have Matip and Gomez both injury prone as well. That's the only. If we're going to lose it, we're going to lose in defense.
There's an argument here though, where you get to January and go from there. I think if Liverpool are 4 points behind City in January, and they might look and go, we can fucking win this. Do you know what I mean?
Once September 7th is over, we've got Salah, then.
But to be fair though, we thought about this when we were going for the quadruple. Salah goes, then I think we play Arsenal back-to-back League Cup semi-final games. Jota steps up, score. I think we won every game that Salah was away in that quadruple season. Yeah. So as much as Salah's leaving and Endo's leaving, if Salah goes, then I'm excited to see who plays actually on the right. Does he do Darwin on the right? I have no idea what he's going to do. So, but let's just kick on. Let's fucking believe in this side. We are the best. We're the second best side in the league, in my opinion. I really believe that. City again, no great shakes. Sheffield, Fulham kind of struggled but got over the line. The Reds are playing really good sides and beating them. So why not? And then in the league, and I'm dropping off, guys. I'll see you next. I'll see you in a couple of weeks. See you soon.
See you next one, Cozzy. But just on Cozzy's point there, if we look at the strength of it, Arsenal are back to being Arsenal. They're just flattering to deceive, as they always happen to do. United, who knows? Just who knows what's going on with them? And it seems to me, I mean, Chelsea are already struggling at this point of the season, which they shouldn't be doing. You can't win the league, as they say, in September, but you can certainly put yourself out of contention quite early on. It looks like it could be us, City and Spurs challenging for the top 3 places so far. Trevor, do you think that let's assume we get somebody in January for the defence. Do you think we're only that one player away from having a squad that can compete on multiple fronts?
I think a center back and another defender with a bit of versatility, a guy that could play almost like Gomez does with the center back, right back thing, just so we can give Trent a little more freedom, let him run a lot more than we're letting him just because of those defensive responsibilities. I think 2 defenders, one.
I think Trevor's signal got drunk.
I think so.
Let's just see. What do you think about it? Do you think we're one defender away from having the squad to compete, or are we still a little bit of maybe a backup player or two short?
I think both. We definitely need another centre back and at least two centre backs, and we have to include Brighton in this as well. I think what Brighton did to Newcastle yesterday, that was amazing. But yeah, I think our acid test will be playing the lower teams. Last year, they're the ones that got the points over us. So if we can take care of the lower teams, like we're doing with the top teams, I think that will show us where we really are.
It really does come down to that when you want to win the league, though, doesn't it? You kind of have to beat those outside of the top 6 teams home and away to give yourselves the point space, and then at least win your home games against your contenders. But we said before the game that this team looks like it knows how to get it done. It was comfortable today again, and comfortable against a good organised side with a good manager. I mean, he's won trophies, and he's won trophies he probably didn't have any right to win with Sevilla, and was probably, I think, hard done by Arsenal. But we just looked so comfortable. It's scary, isn't it?
That's what I was worrying, and that's why it's like, I don't know if it's a false dawn or just Villa not showing up, and we just took advantage. But the next, definitely after the international break, I think we'll know for sure where we really stand. The Spurs game will be a big test, definitely. And who did we play before Spurs? Was it Wolves? I think Wolves.
I think so. That's what Cosby said.
I think Wolves would be a big test as well, just because they're a lower team, and I don't even think we beat Wolves last season, did we? I think maybe won one game out of the 4 that we played against them. So it's some lower league team, the lower teams that scare me the most.
Trevor's saying his phone overheated because it couldn't take all his positivity, and we have a lot to be positive here again. In terms of performances, who do you think was the standout player today?
Oh, Zobo for sure. And have to give credit to Gomez. I've been in Gomez's back for the last 2-3 years, but he stepped up. But Szoboszlai, absolutely, 100%. He's one of the Steve Gerrard's shirt. Nunes played well. Salah was a bit quiet, but he was efficient. And McAllister, he's for playing in a position he's not meant to be playing in. He's just doing what he's doing. It was great.
Let's bring in Timuchin, and let's ask how many snacks the dogs got today.
Dude, they were hyper. They were kind of disappointed we didn't keep going for it, to be fair. But I was like, calm down, guys. We're controlling it. It's a long season, so kind of settle the nerves are a little bit. But yeah, what a win, man. I mean, it's that early goal really helps. Kind of cruise. To me, this was like a really tough home game. That's a team that can really give us. There are certain teams I'm afraid to play at home because I feel like they're better on the counter in space. Like Forest is one of them. I kind of like worry against that, for example. But Villa is definitely one of them. A lot of quality out there. So to make this look like a very comfortable win is freaking huge.
Timuchin, in terms of the attack, we just talked about the amount of options and the variety of ways we can now play. But one thing I was thinking was when the Gakpo sub was made, that is probably one weakness of our variety of options is we probably can't play Gakpo and Nunes at the same time if Nunes is the number 9, because they kind of tend to get in the way of each other, don't they?
Yeah, because Gakpo likes going towards the middle a lot as well. But I think that could work if Nunes is on the left. I mean, today, and hey, I'm the harshest critic of Nunes, right? That's just as Anan in the morning. Well, okay, Sir Z is here, so I'm the second largest critic. But I thought his pressing was a lot better. Looked like he was the trigger today to start the press, which kind of helps the cause. But I mean, you can kind of tell that Villa was terrified of him. It helps that they got their backup center backs out there, but they were scared every time that ball was played over the top, because even balls that look like that was like a bad long pass becomes dangerous when he's just coming like a maniac behind you. And as a guy who's played defender, that's scary. So if a guy like that coming, it makes you nervous and it does not give you time. Whereas I can see maybe Jota or Gakpo and stuff, maybe kind of slightly giving up on that ball, at least initially. He goes to every ball like he's going to freaking get there one way or the other, and it causes a lot of problems. So that was definitely nice to see. But, I mean, to answer your question, I think that would be the only way if you put Nunez on the left and Gakpo in the middle. One thing I think we lost with that substitution was pace up top. But I think it was more about not getting more goals, but it was getting everybody more minutes, everybody kind of like pacing themselves. It was more about controlling the game, which I'm okay with. Obviously, you want more goals. These dogs want more snacks. But I'm okay with like kind of controlling everything, keeping a clean sheet, which I thought was important for this defense. So.
Just on that, the Nunez thing, because there was a great example of it in the first half when there was an errant long ball which ended up going out for a throw in at the side. But Nunez chased it down, and the Villa player, who I can't remember, but literally you could see him freezing up. Like as he was running, you could see him stiffen up, preparing to be smashed possibly into the middle of Manchester with a nice shoulder barge. But it is a great thing to have, isn't it? For somebody like Nunez, once he figured out the pressing thing, which he seems to be doing now, that becomes more dangerous just by his sheer presence on the field. Excuse me, gonna sneeze. There you go. I'm allergic to these clean sheets, I think it is. But just having that shit, it's like when we had Suarez, he could have a bad game, but everybody was terrified of him getting the ball within 30 yards of goal because who knows what can happen. Sir Z, do you think Haaland is clearly, I think, in terms of talent, the best striker in the league? He's just so dangerous within that team. But is it possible our entire attack is the scariest attack in the Premier League?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like City, I mean, even without Haaland, they have Alvarez, who I think is excellent. But yeah, depth-wise, we've probably got the best attack in the world. Jota, I'm still 50-50 with Jota. When he's on a run, he's on a run. But then he goes with his lull periods, and it's just, I mean, just putting it out there. I'll sell him and get Ferguson from Brighton. But Nunez is nuts. Even though I joke about him, he's still. I'd rather have him in a team than not have him in a team. And he reminds me of Suarez. If you can get his, if you can actually score a goal, he just, he's just, like you said, he reminds me of Collymore, who's got that build and shape, and you just don't know what to expect from him. But he's just nuts. He's got Suarez's psychoticness.
In terms of the message this sends out to the other teams, Temujin, if you are Pep Guardiola, if you are Big Ange from, just remind everybody, just because Big Ange was mentioned, Celtic, Brendan Rodgers won today against Rangers, so the rebuild is happening right there, the reputation rebuild. But in terms of the message it sends out, if you have any ambitions as one of the managers of winning the league or competing for top four, are you looking at that game today and saying to yourself, they're not even fully gelled yet, and already I don't want to play them?
I think that's the key part there, right? I mean, everybody knows, you look at the squad and you're like, man, they're going to be good. Like, this is a great midfield for the future. To be able to get the 3 points now and just tacking those on before that midfield is really clicking, should be scary for other teams, because you pay. And I just hope, man, I said this all freaking end of summer too, freaking every morning I think during the transfer season, I did not want to regret a couple of lost points early. I really think this team clicking in all cylinders would have easily beaten Chelsea. So we do lose. I still consider the lost 2 points, but if any one of us said, hey, brand new midfield, Van Dijk out, we're playing 10 men half the time and stuff, and you get 10 out of 12, I think we'd be delighted. And City, I don't know, I heard you guys talking about it earlier, does not look great, but I don't know if that's partially due to Pep's absence a little bit yesterday. Yesterday, that was like a team that was just like, we're eventually going to win. That looked disinterested. But I think they will miss Kevin De Bruyne. And, you never know. You know what? Scratch that. I do wish injuries on City. So I was going to say you don't want to wish injuries. But, yeah, I mean, if they lose a couple of the players, they're not as deep as everybody thinks, I think. You look at the bench sometimes. There's a lot of young talent, which they sold one of. And I know they brought Nunez in. But I don't know. I think they're going to miss those Kevin De Bruyne kind of like save you out of a jam with like one critical pass, one critical cross thing. So they are catchable, but I don't know. It's a challenge. I think it's going to be the team that we chase. I think Arsenal has like chinks in the armor, whereas City, they just have that confidence of finding a way to win. That's probably my worry. But they should definitely be worried looking in the rearview mirror and seeing us, knowing we'll only get better. I mean, that's what we're assuming, right? This team is only going to get better. And if you're getting 3 points now, that bodes well for the future.
So Z, during the Discord discussion, I made a point in the middle of the second half that Trent looked like he was either gassed or slightly injured because he suddenly, actually, it was the first half, the end of the first half, he suddenly slowed down. He wasn't as mobile. He wasn't looking to make those little sprints. And then he comes off injured. Do you think that the demands of the new role he has may cause him to overexert himself, or is this just one of those precautionary things? It's an international week. Let's not make more damage where more doesn't need to be made.
I think of Trent, it could be one or two things. One, being captain, and who's going to lay everything out on the pitch until you have to literally put him on a stretcher and take him off. Or it could just be precautionary and forget England. Who cares about England? Let's just take this 2-week break, recover, and go again. I'm just touching on the previous point. I think Pep's not full. Even when at a worst point, he's always been scared of us. You see that video where he's talking about Mane, Firmino, and Salah scaring the crap out of him. Pep, he's the only one who sees us coming, and Big Ange, being a Liverpool fan, he sees us. I think Liverpool, and we've shown over and over again, when we're written off, that's when we're the most dangerous. We see it 2 years ago. Everyone wrote us off when we won the league. And then last year, we almost did the quadruple. And everyone wrote us off this year. We don't have any midfielders. I don't think, if you look at the pundits, I don't think anyone's got us in the top 4. Arteta, he believes too much in himself. I think we're the most dangerous when no one sees us coming, and we just need to just keep it like that.
For the way the league is shaping up before the international break, Temujin, we really have put ourselves in the best position mentally to come back into. If we had struggled, if the 2 10-man games had ended up in draws or losses, would we be able to get it back? Or do you think the mentality in this team is so far apart from what it was last year that we're just going to overcome the obstacles every single time they come up?
I don't know. I feel like if that Newcastle game goes south, if Ali does not make that save, I don't even know if how this game goes. Let's face it, with an early goal, changing the pace and changing the entire game. I don't know. I feel like this is a huge boost for the team to start, because if they started the season not knowing how things are going to go, and I mean, they're not idiots. They know it's a new squad. They know it's going to take time to gel. They see the guy next to them. They're like, I got to get used to this guy and stuff like that. So if they had any doubts in terms of how long it was going to take to kind of get in gear. I think this kind of like should help the team saying, holy cow, we already got 10 out of 12. I wish we sent less people to the international games so they could actually use this time to kind of like gel further. But I think it's a huge boost to the squad knowing same thing that's like other teams are thinking. If these guys are this good this early with, as they get used to each other and new additions, I mean, let's face it, like Endo just showed up like a week ago. You have Gravenberch that showed up. So by the time those guys gel in and stuff like that, I think it's a huge boost for the team knowing that even without being in full gear, they're in a title race. So once they get in full gear and, Champions League starts, that's going to be the important thing, right? Like how Champions League affects team like Arsenal and City and stuff, and how the Thursday games affect us. Today is a good sign that we have depth to be able to handle Thursdays with no issues and focus on the weekend. And one thing, which I was shocked about, is how much rotation and spread of minutes that Klopp had. If you don't see that shit, this regardless of the score, usually people start, rolling in after the 80th minute. For him to like make 3 subs and stuff like that, looks like he knows that we will have to rotate and manage minutes and stuff. So, yeah, I think it's a huge boost to the squad. They might even be shocked that it's going so far, like so good so far. But like I say, it could have gone south just as easily. So that's why these 3 points are crucial to just keep stacking them up, regardless of how you play, regardless of your weaknesses and stuff like that.
I'll throw this question out to Sir Z, but it's for Timuchin as well if you want to give an opinion on it. You're Ryan Gravenberch, you're sitting in the stand, you're watching Liverpool's your first home game as a Liverpool player. You can't play. Obviously, you want to be on the field with them, and you watch that dominant display. But then you see Darwin Núñez coming off the field, having created an own goal and being involved in other goals, but not quite getting on the score sheet and getting, I think it was a standing ovation as he was walking off the field from the Anfield crowd. How excited are you to get that red shirt on and then get out on that field and play for Liverpool?
I think it was a good game for him to sit out on because we won. So there's no pressure on him to come in. There's not if we had lost, or there's no pressure on him to do really good in the next game. We won this, so now he can just ease his way into the next game. I think with these new signings, like a breath of fresh air. Like we've always had to, like before we had to rely on Stevie G putting up the team and leading the team, and then after the big mental hangover of not doing the quadruple, we got rid of a lot of the mental hang-ups with Mane leaving, Henderson leaving, Fabinho leaving, Ox and Cater leaving. Now we've got a brand new, young, refreshed team that are there, and you can see like Szoboszlai, he wants to win every game. He's there, like even before the game, he's bringing himself up, he's bringing the games up, he's saying that we can win the league, and that's refreshing. You've got this brand new core of the team that are there that want to win, and they're not relying on one person to drag them out. It's like they're all taking collective responsibility.
Timuchin, how do you think Gravenberch feels watching this game today?
I mean, I kind of agree with Sparky. He might be like, man, if I'm the missing piece of the puzzle over here. Not that Jones played poorly. I think he knows how to press. He helped a lot of that pressure. I think one thing I like from that midfield is, regardless of who has the ball, there's always that chance of them like chipping that ball over the top or like doing that diagonal and stuff like that. There's a constant threat. Whereas I felt like before we kind of relied on specific players, like, you have to go to Van Dijk to get that diagonal and stuff like that. So I think I like that from the midfield. And honestly, when I saw that lineup today, that was my first thought is I wonder if we are thinking of converting Mac to this role, or Endo is not ready yet, so we're still playing McAllister there. So that's going to be something to see. Like when we line up against Wolves on like the next 2-3 weeks over here is, are we converting McAllister to a CDM so we can use Jones and Gravenberch and stuff like that in McAllister's role? Because Szoboszlai is set over there, you can tell. or this is just while Endo gets ready. That's why I would have liked to see Endo come in a bit earlier, but this is good to get him get out there comfortable, get some minutes and stuff like that too. But that's going to be the biggest challenge. So Gravenberch is looking at it today. If he's watching the way I'm watching, he might have thought, man, if they put, I mean, I'm sure he knows the plan more than I know the plan. I'm sure Klopp has talked to him, but if that is the plan, he should be excited because he can do a lot on this team. The way, I mean, he's kind of like a young genie in some ways, in terms of like the way he shields the ball, controls the ball, and stuff like that. So he has to be excited, man.
I think for a final thought, let's give a rating for Klopp for today. Out of 10, Sir Z and Timuchin, where do you think Klopp, in terms of tactics, selection, rotation, substitutions, and preparing the players mentally for this game, what would you give him out of 10?
I'll give him 10.
Damn, man.
Substitutions were good. He brought Kwanzaa in at the right time. No pressure on a young kid. I think with McAllister, we're going to lose Endo for a month in January. So these games here, they're a good way to bed him in if we don't buy another big purchase in January. And McAllister, he's just so versatile. I love that guy. 35 million. It's just it's a steal. It's like, I can't believe we got it for that much. But everyone, Nunes, he was expected to start, and he played well. You can't. I don't see how you can knock points off the first half. Won the game 3-0, clean sheet. Everyone played the part.
Yeah, Timuchin, out of 10.
I'll give it a 9. Just because I don't like passing out 10s like Cersei over here. But no, I think, I would have liked to see Endo maybe come in a bit earlier. I thought Nunez was a risk that paid off because you could ride that momentum, which we did. I know he didn't score, but he might as well have. Basically 2 assists, 1 to Matty Cash. But, he made a huge impact in the game, and he will be happy to carry that momentum. My fear was starting him and not getting a good performance where it sets him back like 3-4 weeks ago and erases everything that happened in the Newcastle game. So that was risk. It paid off. That early goal, I think, made the day a lot easier. But yeah, 9. I think, like I say, that was risky and it paid off. And I kind of really liked and shocked with the fact that he made that many substitutions that early, because that's what we're going to need this year.
I'm going to give him a 9 out of 10 simply because they took the foot off the gas and I didn't get my 5-0 prediction, like I said at the start of the game. And that's the only reason. So just remains to say thank you to Mooch and thank you to Z. Thank you all the other guys who contributed to the post-match. It's going to be a great Labor Day weekend for us over here in the States now because of that. We can all enjoy the Monday off and look forward to the international breaks annoy me. And only because Ireland are so bad these days. Yes, check out the Monday podcast. I'm assuming it's gone ahead on Labor Day. There's no rest for the wicked, as they say. No rest for the wicked.
Mateusz in the morning with the Polish Prince who missed the post-match. And then I'll be on with Gally later on in the evening.
And then make sure you like and subscribe, join the Discord channel, smash those buttons, but don't break your keys because you'll need them to comment. Instagram, Facebook, the artist formerly known as Twitter, and our YouTube channel. Make sure you're following the YouTube channel too. And so you know when we have all this fantastic content and learn how many snacks Timuchin's dogs are getting. But it just remains to say, have a fantastic Sunday. Thanks to the boys in red, and we will see everybody soon. Peace out.